To the panel, any last thoughts?
Well, I have a last question. Well, maybe it's a last question. How many countries has the U.S. invaded in the last, 12 to 15 years, do you think? Would it be 10, 8, somewhere around there?
In the last 15 years,
Yes.
going back to 1996, we are looking at invading the sovereign nation of Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia disintegrates, moving into the sovereign nation of Montenegro, of Serbia. Troop deployments in over 110 nations around the globe. The attacks, I guess 5 years before that, in Grenada, Panama, the attack on Iraq, covert actions in Pakistan, in Iran with the death of Iranian nuclear scientists
Yes.
that were at the time falsely attributed to the Israelis, the attacks on Iraq, in northern Afghanistan, the U.S. involvement in the Philippines against Abu Sayyaf in the south. We are talking about at least 10.
So, my point and my second question would be, we're concerned about Russia moving weaponry around their country.
Yes.
And we're moving around the world into other countries. And for example, in Syria, Russia was asked to come in by their sovereign leader. We were not asked to come in.
Indeed.
And so I just don't understand this double standard. I truly don't. How hypocritical. If we weren't doing these things and we said, okay, you're doing that, but if we torture, how can we say other countries shouldn't? Or if we invade all of these countries.
It is the parable of the hypocrite. And in fact, you mentioned that we were not invited into Syria. Though one force was quite happy to see us attack the legitimate government of Bashar al-Assad. That was the Islamic State, led by Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. They were quite happy to watch U.S. bombs drop on both Russian special forces and, as it turns out, the legitimate army of Syria, as well as members of the Iranian Quds Force and other special forces and groups that came in from nearby Lebanon. There's kind of a meme that I saw once, and I don't know if you've all seen this meme, and it shows a list of NATO bases, and they're surrounding Russia. And the meme at the bottom says, "How dare Russia? They are surrounding our military bases," as if, or they're putting their country so close to our military bases, as if it's not the other way around. We are encircling the Russian Federation with military assets. If I were the Russian Federation, I would be extremely worried. The actions in the west of Ukraine, where openly far-right individuals have taken power in a coup d'etat, should strike fear into the heart of the Russian body politics. The actions in the Baltic states with openly hostile, sometimes Russophobic states, Estonia and Latvia, which don't even allow their Russian ethnic minorities to vote, should alarm the Russian Federation. The U.S. pulling out of the INF should alarm the Russian Federation. And yet we are stuck with this adage that it is all the personality of Vladimir Putin that's to blame. Somehow he's paranoid of the intentions of these, many, groups of affiliated far-right regimes, allied neo-Nazis in Ukraine. If you were surrounded by, maybe your house gets surrounded by a group of hostile individuals, you might call the police, you might be worried. In other words, the Russians have every right to be upset. Any final thoughts from the panelists? We'll start in Montana. Dr. Thomas.
Yeah, I'd just like to draw the parallel between the North Korea issue and the Russia issue. Unfortunately, when you look at the goals of the United States, the idea of creating stability and harmony seemed to be a second thought. And ultimately, when you look at North Korea, and I think North Korea, is a little bit more culpable than Russia in terms of
Agreed.
tipping the balance in one direction or another, but it's really the same thing as Russia. The best way to deal with potential adversaries is engage them and give them a stake in their own prosperity with you.
Agreed.
We did it with the Chinese. We have a very stable relationship with the Chinese. We also did it with the Marshall Plan. Japan and Germany have been allies of ours now for almost 70 years. So it's a very stable arrangement. Everybody's benefited from it. And unfortunately, I think that the political rhetoric of various factions, either with regard to Russia or North Korea, but also the overall mentality, is something that avoids stepping back and considering, the long-term stability that could be created from saying, all right, these individuals are not enemies, let's engage them actively in a way that recognizes their autonomy and gently pushes them in the direction of responsibility both towards us but also to their own citizens.
Agreed. Pamela, last thoughts.
I would like to see a lot more cooperation and working and being a good citizen and being good citizens in the world, and not being hypocritical, but cooperating and working with other countries for the benefit of all. Diversity is great.
Agreed. Craig, final thoughts.
That our government has been very arrogant and controlling of other countries, and we need to stop it.
Agreed. And the last question to Sarah. Sarah, provoke Russia, yes or no?
No.
Correct. Bye-bye.